This is culture between space and place. The concept. Space. 1. A period of time. 2. A limited extent in 1, 2, or 3 dimensions. 3. A blank area separating words or lines. 4. A boundless 3-dimensional extent in which objects and events occur and have relative position and direction. As a multidisciplinary creative, my understanding of the world is rooted in space. The word space defies and defines form, function, and faction. Yeah, I say a faction, but space has no mass. Thus, it is the void we find between what is. But what is has transient meaning, built out of positions, power, and perspective. Space turns into place through the human urge to categorize, program, and assert meaning. Through my professional practice as a writer, researcher, media maker, interior designer, and creative, I have noted that between space and place, we find culture. Big C. Since culture is nuanced, it creates an opportunity to reimagine what space is through a multiplicity of mediums, contextualizing via identity, locality, and temporality. I have taken this concept through a casual practice of interpersonal interviews, observation, and pursuing and perusing and inhabiting spaces where cultural dialogue, spoken and unspoken, occurs by creating a series of vignettes that exist and will exist in multiple mediums. I share cultural narratives that reflect the internal perspectives of Black community, not as a monolith, but as a note of existence we often assign as diminutive importance. The nostalgia-induced conversations that transpired during installation with staff, visitors, and other people popping by validated these places, even when repurposed as art. They are truly threads of understanding in a web of misinterpretations we do not subscribe to. But on a personal level, I have always had a complex relationship with space. As I reflected on where I've been, I always characterize how people use space, usually and practically, as a note of their subconscious self. Because I'm deep like that. My father's back room, my mother's nest, my grandmother's den, my uncle's man cave, my love's art sanctuary, rooms that I licked my internal wounds in and became the soul I am today. Those spaces are magical tales of life unscripted. It was not until I was an adult that I realized that place and knowing place could connect me to so many people. My people. And even when the feeling of displacement may have kept me away too long, I would always have a shared history. That is the beauty of it. The goal of this art experience is to create a communal narrative that values people who have historically been disenfranchised and the places that celebrate their culture unapologetically. This is where we show that space is only defined by its cultural functionality, the place, and programmatically asserts that art is a reflection of our experiences, seen and unseen. This here is culture between space and place. The corner store. Who feeds you? On my block or your block, over them ways or that way, up the street or down the street, we know where to find you. Your doors have always swung heavy. I'm not sure if it's commercial grade metal or panhandlers whose society has given up on, propping them open with their unfulfilled dreams and empty bellies, asking for a quarter or two. Or maybe it's the mannerable bag loaded with empty calories. Thank you. Have a nice day. You're so sweet and you smell so sour. Little Debbie's caking, now and laters for now and later, a bag of hot flamings. I mean, we don't care if Frito-Lay calls you flaming hot. to give us those red 40 fingers and a pack of penny candy too. I'm hungry and you're available. I'm feeling snacky and you got the goods. I'm low on funds and I can afford you. You're overpriced, but I can't break bread on just bread. At least when you feed me, I smile. At least you are there in the midst of the desert that has a legacy drought against food. And somebody from not around these ways has the audacity to say that I should break up with you? Like you don't carry the load of a futuristic Swiss Army knife. You have it all. A wife beater, 2XL tees, nondescript snapbacks, laundry detergent, baby bottles, a can of meat, and some incense you never use. They keep saying that I should do better. But whatever you supply, I still demand. And I demand your supply. The beauty supply store. You can't put a price on beauty. It is an unmeasurable fee, but that doesn't stop it from being costly. In a bottle, on a shelf, in a 52-inch bundle pack. Whatever gets you there, whatever keeps you there, whatever oils that scalp, flutters those eyelashes, lays those edges. Here we decide who we are, for today or for a season. We get to invent our standards of beauty and be sold them at the same time. We get to tame our tresses or Crayola our curls. Who knew we needed boss gloss, velvet do-rags, and flower flip-flops circa Y2K? Who knew there was a lie in the no lie and balding beauties on the other side of that wet and wavy? And there, right here, we find the joy of bobos and barrettes, bandeau tops and knockoff, whatever. Here we set the trends, dominate society with our aesthetic, and refill our gel cup from what the world attempted to take away. You have walls of personality. This wig is Monica, that one, Sasha. And don't forget the high class presidential diva, Michelle. You know all our secrets as line items on the receipt and as placeholders to the insecurities we were never meant to have. We gather our confidence on the counter and let the tab tally it up. The price is the price, and we are worth every dime to feel like a dime. The barbershop. The barbershop is a sacred place. The first time I let a clipper touch my neck, I had to forgive my mother for making me a woman. It felt like I had been withheld from a rite of passage I now understood why men hold so dear. That intimacy was sorcery. To take the living follicles and redirect their glory into some other form just short of extinction, a relationship where discussing relationships between any subject is appropriate. These walls talk, and oh yes, do they hold wisdom. Friends and foe lay down their burden in that chair. Laughter and debate. It is a place of familiarity where you go to be reborn. Here, vanity is no sin, nor does it folly with the ideas of masculinity not allowing for another to handle your crown. Holding your head up to shape its armor in your best image, creating angles that make you acute. And where blades come near you and near your throat, you must trust there will be no bad blood. Your growth will always show how long it's been since you were here. The living room. Life has an expense, especially when it's wrapped in plastic, to keep it pure and pristine. To never feel the touch of skin, never meant to crease, never meant to show what it has truly been through. There is comfort in our hostile place, a form of sanctuary in a society built to hold us hostage. You never make an anchor room in a temporary home. Never make an anchor room in a temporary home. Laying roots on land still being tilled, this piece is a piece of what we have made through the chaos. It is usually forbidden territory, and only those who have lived through the outside can come in. Those matriarchs and patriarchs, wisdom must permeate those transparent couch liners and carpet runners, turning them into gold. We have always tried to show our domestication as a legacy being protected in the physical form. We don't know how hard they work to secure those gems, those faux marble vases, lotus flower lamps, and Black Panther mirror art. I say to that subtle symbol of power. These must be reminders of our king and queendoms, ownership, pride, status, respect. As youngins, we question why we are not worthy to live in our living rooms. As adults, we reflect on how they had been teaching us to survive. Nah. They not gonna get it. This is really hard for me. This is one of those moments where I'm really putting out what I feel, what I see, what I've experienced. And there's always been this narrative attached to that. Am I too Black enough? Do I know enough? Is this art? I mean, there's so much that could be said here. There's so much that could be said. I mean, and then there's the judgment cast to take everything out of context. Like, I know what we said. I know the conversations that happened. I know the words that we used. But what about just knowing? What about just knowing that these are the dialogues that need to happen? What about just knowing that this is the moment where we can just be like, our existence matters, and not to showcase it the way you need to see it, but to showcase it through a reality. I mean, space. Whoa. Space. Like taking up space. Like, baby, I like to take up space. And this place. I finally have this place. A place where I'm free to just be me. I don't know what people would think. I can't really care what people would think. All I know is that this existence, this way of living, we didn't get here overnight. There are conversations that need to go past this exhibit. There are conversations that need to be happening outside of Black spaces. There needs to be a confrontation about how we deal with space that winds up turning into place, and what places we're not allowed. We're not allowed to take up space. There's a lot going on here. It's a lot to be said. But I guess this is